This is my pierogi presentation. So some history and culture of pierogi. Pierogi came about in 13th century Poland, and it is basically half-circular dumplings, and they are also stuffed like dumplings. They quickly became extremely important for social gatherings and other events, although this was not always the case. Originally, pierogi was not thought of very highly, and it used to be considered as peasant food, but eventually it became extremely popular in every social class. Later on in history, pierogi became considered a staple of the Polish diet, and now each holiday has its own special kind of pierogi that's made. For example, there are different shapes and fillings that were made for holidays like Christmas and Easter, and even events like weddings had their own special type of pierogi. Now, sauerkraut is one ingredient that I'm going to be focusing on today. It's the main ingredient in sauerkraut pierogi, and sauerkraut is basically just fermented cabbage. It's very sour and bitter by itself, but when mixed with the right things, it can taste really good. So some nutrient compositions of sauerkraut. As you can see here, just 1 cup of sauerkraut is high in a lot of different vitamins and minerals, and it's also low calorie, but extremely high in sodium. Relationship to disease with sauerkraut. So fermentation is really what makes sauerkraut so healthy for you. And fermentation is when microorganisms on the cabbage digest its natural sugars and convert them into carbon dioxide and organic acids. Sauerkraut fermentation benefits probiotics and gives them the ability to grow. Sauerkraut's probiotics and enzymes help your body absorb nutrients easier. Sauerkraut can help boost your immune system, reduce stress, and maintain brain health. It can also help reduce DNA damage, prevent cell mutations, and block excessive cell growth, which can lead to cancer. Sauerkraut can also help lower cholesterol levels, and it makes little improvements in blood pressure and has a lower risk of heart disease. And the vitamin K2 in sauerkraut can also lead to stronger bones. Quality. So, to make sure that you get the best quality sauerkraut, you should look for non-pasteurized sauerkraut, and this means that it does not contain any added sugars or preservatives. And since sauerkraut is fermented, keeping it fresh is a little bit different than what we might be used to. So, some agricultural aspects of sauerkraut. You should store a container of sauerkraut between 70 to 75 degrees while fermenting. These temperatures are the optimal way to ferment sauerkraut. At these temperatures, sauerkraut will be fully fermented in about 3 to 4 weeks. If you try to ferment sauerkraut of anything above 80 degrees, it will become soft and it will spoil. While if you store sauerkraut at 60 to 65 degrees, the fermentation may take 6 weeks, and anything below 60 degrees, your sauerkraut might not ferment. There is also no shortage of sauerkraut, and it is sustainable. So this is one of the many different recipes you can use to make sauerkraut pierogi, and just pierogi in general. Pierogi is extremely versatile. You can stuff anything that you want inside of the dough. This is one of the many different ways that you can prepare the pierogi, including the dough and how to stuff it and how to cook it. But there are many different ways that you can do this, and it takes some technique, but it is not too hard to learn. I loved this dish, and it reminded me a lot of like dumplings, but it was just a little bit crunchier since it was fried and tangy or sour. Culturally, people stuff whatever they want in the pierogi for different events, so it really just depends on the person. So just to compare my thoughts on pierogi and the social and cultural aspects of pierogi, I had no idea that there were so many different ways to make pierogi. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Pierogi used to be considered as peasant food, but it became a food for any social class. And I never would have thought that it would have been made for such special events like weddings, Christmas Eve dinner, and even Easter. However, you can eat it whenever or however you want for any occasion. And these are my sources. Thank you.